Visceral fat, that deep belly fat that sits around your organs, is one of the biggest threats to men's health over the age of 30. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you 6 proven, science-backed ways to reduce it so you can improve your health and also flatten your waistline in the process. A study of over 400,000 people found that fat that's carried around the midsection that affects your waist to hip ratio was a stronger predictor of death than BMI or even total body fat. That's because where your body stores fat has a major impact on your health. Extra weight on your thighs or your arms isn't nearly as dangerous, but when fat sits deep around your organs, it drives inflammation, insulin resistance, and raises your risk for diabetes and also heart disease. The first strategy is to track your blood markers. You can't always see visceral fat in the mirror, but it does show up in your blood. Research in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that high triglycerides and fasting glucose were strong predictors of visceral fat. And that's why I recommend a yearly blood panel that includes fasting glucose, triglycerides, and HDL cholesterol. If these numbers are off, it's a red flag that hidden fat is building up around your organs long before you're ever going to notice it in the mirror. That's exactly what we discovered when we first did our bloods with one of our clients called Matt. We found that he was pre-diabetic, had a build-up of visceral fat, but in the process of following these steps I'm about to walk you through, he was able to drop 38 pounds and dramatically improve his markers. The second point is to replace processed carbs and sugary foods with what I'm about to show you. Ultra-processed foods feed visceral fat like nothing else, and that's because they spike insulin far faster than their equivalent amount of calories would through whole foods, which tells your body to store fat around your organs. They also trigger inflammation thanks to additives and things like trans fats, and they also leave you feeling hunger because they lack vital protein and fiber that you would get if you had have consumed your calories through whole foods. Point 3 is to prioritize protein. Protein does 2 things visceral fat hates. Keeps you feeling fuller so you naturally eat fewer calories, and builds lean muscle which boosts your metabolism and helps your body handle carbs better. Aiming for roughly 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight is a great start. And for those of you guys who are busy, just like my clients, here are some convenient protein sources that will make hitting that protein target so much easier. Point 4 is to prioritize strength training over cardio, but I wouldn't neglect it either. You see, muscle acts like a sponge for sugar. The more muscle you build, the better your body becomes at soaking up and absorbing the carbs and pulling those carbs into your glycogen stores as opposed to your fat stores. So to put simply, keep doing cardio, but don't let that take away from the strength training, because that'll be the biggest thing from an exercise standpoint that'll help you reduce visceral fat. And another quick tip, if you're new to strength training, I would start with just 2 to 3 sessions per week, but try and build your sessions around compound movements like deadlifts, squats, bench press, rows, things along those lines, or if you've got injuries, make subtle variants so that you're not putting yourself at risk of injury. Point 5 is to try and regulate your adrenal function, aka keeping cortisol levels from being chronically elevated. The main way we can do this is by improving the quality of our sleep. You see, when stress is high and sleep levels are bad, or you're not getting enough sleep, this stress hormone stays elevated, and left chronically elevated, cortisol can contribute to visceral fat gain. Here's a very simple framework I give to my clients to try and improve the quality of their sleep. It's called the 10-3-2-1 rule. Basically, 10 hours before bed, try and stop yourself from having any caffeine. 3 hours before bed, you want to stop yourself having any significant meals or reduce the amount of food as possible. 2 hours before bed, you want to cut out fluids, and 1 hour before bed, you want to get off your phone. You want to stop watching TV, and you just want to get your head in a place where you're just relaxing and not exposed to screens. If you implement this consistently, you will notice changes in your mood, in your energy. You'll find that you'll sleep better, and when you wake up, you'll feel better rested. Point 6 is obvious, but it's also really important. Visceral fat won't come off unless you're in a calorie deficit, but the big mistake most guys make is they jump on fad diets. Things like juice cleanses, cutting out carbs completely, starving themselves, and whilst you might lose a few pounds fast, you'll also be starving, probably quite miserable, and you'll never be able to stick to it either. And then whenever you do eventually stop that version of a diet, you will regain the weight back that you initially intended to lose. So I would always recommend following a more sustainable approach to your nutrition. Whilst the weight might not come off as fast initially, over time, you'll lose more weight and it'll be easier for you to keep off long term. I hope you found this video useful, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. I do read every one of them, and I will do my best to try and help if there's any questions there. And if you'd like more science-backed strategies on fat loss, strength, and optimizing your longevity and health, make sure to hit subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching.